Well, welcome to Computer Works by Ray Hines. Hello, I am Papa Ray. And today, Papa Ray says, try this to speed up your PC. Has the new worn off your PC? Well, I'm here to give you some remedies that may help and some guidance in maybe what might not be actual slowing down of your computer. You know, 6 years ago or 10 years ago, whenever your computer was bought, it may be newer than that, the industry was in process, as it always is, of building better and faster and more efficient machines. And so that's exactly what has happened. And our cell phone or our iPads or our tablets may far exceed the speed of your older PC. And you say, well, I'm scratching my head. I don't know why. My PC just slows down by the day. And that could be true, and we're going to talk about that. But also the perception of slowdown is there. Just be aware that your PC is older. The computer programs that are out there are newer, and they were made to run on the newer PCs. So if your PC is quite a bit old, you may consider upgrading the PC. And there's a trade-off in finances, and you're operating a business, and if you are operating a business, you need good, solid equipment. Well, our first solution to this, a remedy for a slowdown, if it exists, and I do say it's not just your imagination, but it may be because things have changed, is to consider a random access memory upgrade if possible. What is random access memory? Random access memory. You've heard it before, but you've heard of other memory in the computer, and you're maybe a little confused. There's several types of memory for the computer. Taking a look at the diagram, you may see that RAM is over here, and it is just doing all the processing and all the stuff that it needs. And when it wants to save, like a document, it goes over here to the hard drive, and it saves from the computer. Will take information from the RAM and put it on the hard drive, and then it's over. It releases that RAM for other things. So that's really a good thing. Random access memory is a temporary memory, and it's volatile. That's what temporary means. And when you turn the power off, all the stuff that is in the RAM is removed. It's not lost, but it's lost for you unless you have saved it onto the hard drive, and that's what people do. Random access memory is high-speed scratch pad area, and it's used for processing, for holding data, calculations, operations, and without it, the computer would not operate. If the system has too little RAM or too high a burden during processing, the only alternative besides crashing the system and losing the data during reboot is to go out there and borrow slower hard drive space. In order to do that, the computer will take something that is there but not in use at the moment and puts it out there into a swap area, a special area on the hard drive. It's called swap memory or virtual memory, and you can put it out there. The computer does. It takes care of all that itself, and that freed up memory then is able to do more stuff. But when that other process needs it, you're going to actually call on the virtual memory to go out there and slowly put the information back where it got it so that it can continue to operate. And so there's a constant swapping at a certain point. If the RAM is too little and it gets filled up faster and faster, there's a certain point that it sends it out or swaps it out to the hard drive. This, of course, slows down the computer, and the swapping and then retrieving data between the two areas, RAM and virtual memory, slows the computer way down. Yes, Matilda, your PC has slowed down drastically because its operating power is being choked if your RAM is full. You must either have fewer processes running or upgrade your PC's RAM. And that is the killer there. What do you have to do? Not run all the processes that you want to run, or get a more powerful computer, or upgrade your RAM. Since it's not always possible, you may have to upgrade your PC or your laptop. and buy a new one or get another one. And this is a business that you're running, and so you need not to be penny wise and pound foolish. Well, in considering an upgrade, how much RAM do I have and how much RAM do I need? The computer you bought may have been bought at a time when 4 gigabytes of RAM or 8 gigabytes, or, that sounds like a lot. And it was a lot back in the old days, but times have changed. Let's go to settings, and then we'll get to our device specifications and that. Get to settings by going into the control panel, or what I'm going to do is hold my Windows key down and strike I. Windows I goes right to settings, and you can see the settings there. You can disregard that picture if you'd like, and I'm going to go to System, and then at the bottom of this list, and usually if you're in Windows 10 also, the bottom of the list, About. And when you click Settings, System, About, you're seeing the device specifications among other things, and you see that you've got 64 gigabytes of RAM. Well, that is a huge amount. I paid for it when I built my computer, and I would suggest that you try to max out the RAM in your computer if you're intending to keep it. You may have to upgrade a computer. But let's look at it from a different point of view. There's another way to see how much RAM you have, and that is going to the Task Manager. And the fastest way to do that is Control-Shift-Escape. And look at that. These are things that are running in my computer, even when I boot it. Sometimes you say, why does it take so long to boot? Well, these processes had to get started from scratch, and they were all put into the RAM. The RAM is holding these processes. So you can see I've got 7 applications running. I've got all these background processes that right now are either waiting to run, like there's my printer, or they're supporting the operation of the computer. And you can see this goes down, 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 and finally it gets to another area that says these are Windows processes that have to start and support the operation of the computer. You may have heard of the registry, and that's what that is. And so it's really important to understand this is no small task. These are supporting tasks of the computer, and sometimes they can take up a third or more of your RAM. And so it's very, very important. But the reason I came out here is not to look at the processes, but to look at the Performance tab. And you can go to your Performance tab and see how much memory you have. And these two components should add up to the total amount of memory that you have. I've got 14 and 50, which would be 64. And so that's right, that's what it is. That much memory is graphed out to show in use. And if it was very, very high, the computer would say, I've got to start shifting out to virtual memory. And that's a slow, slow process. So I'm going to close that for now, and let's continue. What is the amount of memory that you should have? How much do you need? There's a rule of thumb. When the PC is fully loaded with all kinds of processes, whatever you're doing, your RAM should not exceed 80% used. And you saw that mine was way on down there, but yours may be up past 80%. And that is a real difficult thing. If it's used that much, over 80%, there is a danger. And the danger in slowing down or even losing data, because there is a swap that has to take place. And if your system is shut down while some of this has been swapped out to hard drive space, it may lose it forever. And so there's a danger there as well. Having too little RAM is dangerous. And once again, your PC should not go into swap mode, and it won't if it's 80% or below in use. Today, RAM is not very expensive, and it's a great investment. You should consider that if you can. Yes, your PC is slowed down drastically because its operating power has been choked out. And your first line of defense to make your computer run faster would, of course, be to upgrade the RAM if possible. You must either have fewer processes running at once or upgrade the RAM in your PC. It's not always possible, though, and so you may have to upgrade your PC or your laptop. And as I said once before, your business computer needs to be functional and fast and not pausing so much. And when you say, I just have to go get a cup of coffee when I boot, it's partly because, not 100% because, but it's partly because you have too little RAM and it's choked out even from the get-go. Well, let's move on to something else. What else can we do? What other remedy can we look at? We can consider a RAM upgrade, of course, but I'd suggest to you that there are other things you can do. You could, number 2, remove all applications you don't use, especially games. And I'm not kidding. Sometimes people say, I need 5 minutes of me time. I'd like to play a game on my computer. Well, that's fine if you have the resources in your computer to do that. But what I'd suggest is make this a business computer to do your business, and you'll be much better off. So you can take a look at the diagram that we had before. With our random access memory swapping out to virtual memory on the hard drive, that fills the hard drive up quickly. And there are other things. There are games and applications and videos that you made on your vacation, or photos that you've taken, documents that you've saved, and they're out there just sitting there, but you don't need them now. You could probably offload all of that to a flash drive and reduce the amount of hard drive space that you have. If the hard drive is full and it needs to use more for swap memory or for anything else, new documents, new pictures, new videos, anything, new applications, then it's going to be hard pressed if it's over 80%. And once again, that's a rule of thumb. 80% hard drive is the maximum so that it can have room to breathe. And even at that, I try to keep mine under 30%. But that's just me. What about performing software upgrades? You need the latest Windows version. Let's go out there and see what we've got here. I'm going to do Windows I once again. That takes me to the settings menu, and in the settings menu I can see all of the things I've got. Let's look at System. Yeah, there we go. And now About. And I'm going to look once again not at this first device specifications, but just take note that I do have 64 gigabytes of RAM. But my latest version of Windows is version 23H2. You can go out in the Microsoft site and find out what the latest version for your system is. If you're using Windows 10, you may want to see, I think it might be a version 22H2. And version 22 talks about the last time they've upgraded their version of Windows, and it's 2022. And mine was just upgraded 2023 version H2. And so you can do that, and make sure you have the latest version, because malware crops up, and Windows is trying its best to protect you from malware and all sorts of things that have been invented since your last version increase. And if you have the latest version, you're much better protected, and things can move smoothly with the latest version. Same thing with applications. I just recently upgraded to Office 365. I was a little leery about doing it because I liked what I had, but the Office 365 has the latest. It offers new capabilities to Excel and Word and PowerPoint and databases, and it's really, really a smooth operating set of applications. I recommend it. The next thing is manage your startup applications. And if your computer is choked, you don't need all of these applications running in memory if they're not going to be called upon to be used. Let's take a look once again, and we'll go 2 places. First, we'll go to the control panel, and we'll go to applications, and then startup applications. Down at the bottom, startup applications. And it shows all the applications that you can choose to have in your memory of your computer before booting is complete. And so it will load for me my Canon network scanning ability because I've turned it on. And it will load for me the Acrobat collaboration synchronizer, and that's good because I use Acrobat a lot. Acrobat licensing service, the Adobe game controller, Adobe Systems, Invoker utility, and all this Adobe stuff. Notice that I don't have BeWidgets turned on, and that is nice, but it's so small. I'm going to turn it on, and the next time I reboot, next time the system boots, it'll be on so that my clock will work. I have a widgets clock that has a digital clock up on my screen all the time, and I like to keep it going there. There's all sorts of things. Look at Canva. Canva is off, but I could turn it on and it will be loaded in memory and ready to go the minute I want it. So there's all sorts of things. There's such a thing as a Microsoft to-do list. I could turn it on. The phone link I have turned off. I don't use the phone that way. Remote PC. There's so many things here that you can choose yourself. But you can do it a different way and maybe see what graphically what is out there. I'm going to close this for now, and I'm going to do the Task Manager again. Control Shift Escape, and it brings up the Task Manager. And give it a moment to load. You see I've got 8 applications running, and that's not bad. My memory is used 1/5. I've got 4/5 of my memory available. My CPU is barely even touched, and I am recording. I'm recording using OBS Studio right now, and that's good, but you need to keep watch on what is loaded and ready. So you could say, well, I don't need the Creative Cloud because I don't use it all the time. You could probably not load the Creative Cloud. So let's take a look here. Let's go to Startup Apps. And there are my startup apps, and you go to Creative Cloud and delete it. There's a sorting ritual that goes on, and I have sorted my list here by status. By the way, this is just free for nothing. If most of the things that you see in columns like this, if you click on the column, it sorts by that column alphabetically. You click it a second time, and it sorts inversely, descending and ascending. And so if you descending, this is the last alphabetic one, and you could go down to the first, or you could click on that and this is the first, and you can scroll down to the last. And that's free for nothing. You don't have to use that, but I sort by status, and all my ones that are enabled are here. From here down, the disabled, the ones that do not run in memory are here. And if I say, well, I need that, I want it to run all the time, I could right click that one and enable it so that it would run all the time in memory. So you can come up here and enable or disable the applications that you want. I've got a new program called Stream Deck, and I love it. It's a high impact on the system, but it allows me to do many, many things. And so I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep it enabled. It will run in the memory of my computer. But if you're tight for memory, you can disable a lot of things so that your bucket can be more empty and more able to receive other things. So manage your startup applications, and you may increase the speed of your computer if you get below that threshold where it doesn't have to swap out to hard drive. The next one is clean your system with a dedicated application. A dedicated application like CCleaner, Iolo. I use Iolo, but I'm not recommending any one particular, but these clean the registry and keep the registry clean, and they look out for viruses and ransomware and various things. They work hand in hand with your virus checker, your virus cleaner. And so that's what you need to have, some sort of registry editor that can keep your operation clean. Now, if you don't know what the registry is, it is a list. It's just a long, drawn-out list that is quite complicated, and editing your registry should only be done when you know what you're doing. But the CCleaner does know what it's doing, and so does Iolo, and it can keep riffraff out of your registry, and it can help you maintain a cleaner system. So I'd recommend the cheaper prices are here, and there you can pay an annual fee and use a CCleaner or an Iolo or any other dedicated application that cleans your system. Hand in hand with that, I recommend a virus, malware, ransomware application that protects your computer. But let me say that Windows Defender, which is part of Microsoft, and it's free, and you can enable it or disable it, and it comes, I think, disabled. You need to make sure your Windows Defender is enabled and set for its highest capabilities, and that is all you need. That's all you need. All of these others, McAfee, Norton, all of the suites that you buy typically do a good job, but they don't do the complete job that Windows Defender does, and so they try to do some extra things and some password protection and stuff like that, but you can do that as well. Windows Defender is all you need, and it doesn't cost anything, but you may have to enable it. So if you go out there and enable Windows Defender, you'll be in good shape. You could use Malwarebytes. It's cheap. It's an annual subscription. Malwarebytes are other reputable things, but they tend to get in the way of Windows Defender. And so I would recommend just Windows Defender. I use that only on my system and other systems that my clients have, and things go swimmingly with it. And sometimes, especially McAfee, seems to clog the works, and I don't know why, but they stop the Windows Defender from doing its job, and sometimes their job is not as well done. Well, all of this is really good. These are remedies for you to use to help keep your computer swift and fast. There's a drastic measure that you can take, and you don't need all of these, and so I'll introduce it. It's called a clean install of Windows and all your other applications onto your computer. I had a friend who worked for Microsoft, and he swore by doing this every 6 months. He says the peace of mind you have by reinstalling Windows, and every 6 months it takes several hours, but maybe every 6 months to a year you install the latest Windows and the latest applications that you own, and you're in business, and it really, really gives him peace of mind. Well, none of these other things need to be done. Maybe some tuning and adding of the CCleaner and making sure your Windows Defender works. But after the installation and operation of Windows in a brand new wiped out hard drive, you'll see that it gives you a great peace of mind, and it speeds your computer up. I have one last thing to do, and I will tell you it's a bonus to you. Here it is. The special bonus I'm giving you is a tip on upgrading your hard drive. Now, this may not apply, it probably won't apply to all of you, especially if your computer is rather new. And if it is rather new, you probably have one of these. But if you have one of these, you need to upgrade it to improve, and you'll thank me 1,000 times, to improve the operation of your computer. If you look at it, slowly comes over. It's called a hard disk drive, an HDD, and it is slow. It's mechanical. It's easily corrupted. It's old school, and we've moved on. The industry has moved on to something much faster. This is mechanical, and it's like a turntable of a record player. And as the record comes around and gets finally under the heads of the read-write heads of the hard drive, then it tries to pick up the information that goes. But this is traveling at 360 RPM, and so if it misses all of it the first time around, it may have lots and lots of other times, and that slows the operation down, and everything has to pause while it's reading or writing information to your disk. This one over here is not that way. It is solid state, meaning that it's electronic. It's lightning fast, it's reliable, and it's the industry standard. It's an electronic drive, and so when you say do it, it does it right then. You'll thank me for upgrading. And so let's say you have one that you paid dearly for here, and you will probably pay dearly for the same size over here. Maybe you won't need the same size, but to take this drive and maybe keep it and have it as an external drive, you can buy an external enclosure and pull that out of your system if you have to. And it can store your videos. That's great. It's storage, and so it can store your pictures that you took on vacation, your documents that are ever so precious to you, and the music files and all of that. You can store them on an external drive, maybe a flash drive instead of this one. This one probably could be retired and not used ever again, or just set as a third backup. You could have your main and maybe a flash drive and then another backup. But this one is so much faster. It's lightning fast because it is electronic. It's as fast as the RAM that's in your computer. And so consider upgrading if you already have, if you don't have an SSD, upgrading to an SSD, and you will thank me 1,000 times over. Well, at some point I plan to revisit this because the industry continues to change. But please visit my YouTube channel at youtube.com/@Ray Hines for this and other tidbits of information. I really appreciate your coming and listening and subscribing, and I will see you next time. Take care.